The Lone Ranger sold his wardrobe. The Lone Ranger sold his bad dog. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know, 'cause times change, I know.
On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say.
Come along, join the fun, in a world where adventure is never done. Every corner we turn, a new friend in tow. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know. Across the lands, together we go. Hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know across the land. Together we go, hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show.
What up, y'all? What up, Twitch? What up, Justin? What up, whatever bod or mod? Give a shout out to Justin. What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. You want snacks? What up, Stampy? Come on. Come on. There we go. That mod would be Michael. What up, Michael? Open with some Stampy snacks. Doo-doo. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday, right? Tuesday? Tuesday. How about Tuesday? We'll do Tuesday instead. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Tuesday. Got a hard limit today. We're going to do about 2.5 hours. Got to go pick up.
Everything is going extremely well.
Extremely well is good. Got to go pick up the wife from work. But tomorrow we're doing the double duty type episodes. We will have a little morning episode right into James and then be back in the evening for some more content because I have off tomorrow. I am sore. I broke my record for steps. Can I help you? Are you gonna move or what are you doing? I broke my record for steps with over 19,000, and that record lasted all of a day, and I hit 20,000, and then the day after I hit 21,000, and today I feel sore. What up, Dojo? I'm starting to question whether I become overly crotchety at 54 years. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I mean, overly, define overly, right? I think once you hit your 50s, you're allowed to be crotchety, right? You're allowed to take on the label of curmudgeon. It's a dual class, right? Like you start off as whatever you were, and then once you hit 50, level 50, then, you know, you are like fighter curmudgeon, engineer curmudgeon, right? It's all good. It's all good. It's just part of the leveling process. All right. Right. Big chunky style. Yeah, but that's I think that's got more I think that's got more to do with like repetition in games, you know, whether it's board games or video games. There are some interesting new board games coming out, so I can't I'm going to pull back on that. But it was for a while there things got really samey. And in video games, there's a lot of really sameness, you know. It's like I understand that Battlefield is somehow better than um Call of Duty, but like really? Like they're both first person shooters, you know what I mean? There's not a whole there's not a whole lot that's different there. What up, Beef? Yeah. Every so often you get something like I was a huge fan of Baldur's Gate when that dropped. Um Played that like a bunch of time. Um You know, like when I think about the games that I've put the most time in over like the last few years, right? Like Shadow of Mordor, I thought was fantastic. Cyberpunk 2020 or yeah, 2077, I thought was fantastic. In spite of whatever people's beefs with it. Now I did come in after that huge update that fixed a lot of the things, so it's like whatever. Um and I like Space Marine. Space Marine 2. Um I think that that's pretty cool. So, you know, I don't think you have to play everything, right? Do you have something that you can invest your time in and enjoy yourself? Then yeah. Hey Paso, what's happening, Cadillo? What's happening? Indie games, yeah, yeah. Indie games are good because you can usually get them at like a more reasonable price, right? Like $20 to $30 max. So I feel that. I put some time into Townscaper. Townscaper is kind of cool. I got this game. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's Sovl. What up, Pharaoh? Um, that's a cool game, and that one's actually free, which was super awesome. Wingspan. I played a bunch. Played a bunch of Borderlands 3 in spite of a lot of people not liking Borderlands 3. Um, you know, and then I've also like played Victoria 3 and Crusader Kings 3 and those kind of things. So yeah, you know, enough about me. Let's do some AI. Borderlands 4, I mean again, I must have like a lower bar or whatever. You know, I have played all four characters in Borderlands 3. So, given the opportunity to play Borderlands 4, I would probably do it. What up, Numeral Whistle? I have not watched Twitch in a month. On purpose? Or where you have more things to do? I played Aeon when I was looking for something a little different than WoW a long time ago. So I'll look at the Aeon 2 trailer. No idea what that is. What not yet released board games? Hold up. Hold up. Wait. I can't remember the name of it. Bumming around Vegas. Yeah, no, they do it. Um, there's two of them. Yeah, it's Tabletop Inc. Tabletop Inc. is a game about making board games. And you end up with like little boxes that are the board games, and there's a little shelf that you put the board games on. Yeah, no, it's totally meta. And it just looks like, yeah, it's totally like, it's a Euro worker placement type game. Um, and yeah, no, it's cool. I have a theory because people are underpaid and overworked. By a certain age, the joy gets drained from them like an energy vampire. What's left is just a shell of the person they once were. Yeah, to an extent, like I think a lot of it has to do with the things that you own end up owning you, right? So let's say you have the ability and capacity and whatnot to get a house. Well, guess what? Now you have to maintain your property and, look after stuff in the house and all that kind of thing. So I think that to an extent, what you're saying makes sense, but also like the time that you would normally spend doing just a fun activity has been eaten up by your obligations, Played my first game in about 7 years. Weekend, Cyberpunk got a new high spec laptop, so I wanted something that would push it. Cool. Good old Walden philosophy. I buy that shit, man. The more you have, the less free you are. Really works that way, I think. Yeah, like, I mean, just like I have a bunch of board games, you know what I mean? And so I have an obligation to have a place to put my board games. The alternative is to get rid of my board games. That sounds horrid. All right, let's do some fucking content. We got a limited amount of time today. But again, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm doing 2 streams tomorrow, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern. Introducing Alex. I don't know. What will Alex do next? Unafraid. I mean, it's true, right? The robot cannot be afraid. At least at this point in time, the robot cannot be afraid. All right, for the UK homies, you too get to participate in AI hurting your job market.
At the moment, we're starting to see early signs of what many people have been warning about for some time now. UK businesses appear to be beginning to scale back their hiring for jobs in sectors that they think are most likely to be affected by AI. But it is important to mention here that hiring is down actually across the board in the UK. It's down by the most in nearly 2 years, according to the latest data. But what's interesting here is that we're seeing postings for jobs with the potential to be affected by AI dropping 38% in the 3 months to May this year. That's almost twice the decline seen elsewhere, according to analysis from McKinsey. So perhaps we are starting to really see the first consequences for the job market of that sort of rapid AI growth that we've seen over the past couple of years.
Tiwa, which sectors are facing the most upheaval?
Well, in our reporting, we've spotlighted white-collar roles as being at risk. So these are things like tech and finance. That's where the drop in postings has been the most pronounced so far. And in terms of what this looks like, I'd point out some reporting that we did earlier this year where we covered government plans to reduce the number of civil servants and actually use AI to boost government efficiency. So it's perhaps those sorts of roles that we could see being at risk. Also, graduates and those in entry-level roles could find that the market's a bit more tricky to navigate thanks to AI becoming a bit more prominent in the entry-level jobs market. But really, you're looking at the sort of admin-heavy job functions that are the most at risk in this situation.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's the ones that have got attention also are the cutbacks at BT or their projection on what AI could do, because they've got a huge workforce, and so that got quite a bit of attention recently, didn't it? In terms of how this then plays into the overall jobs market in the UK, which has been very firm in some ways, what are we thinking now?
Well, we can see from the wider set of data that this is perhaps another drag on a job market that's already facing a little bit of pressure at the moment. We've seen permanent staff appointments fall by the most in 22 months recently. And really, the data is saying that that's thanks to the labour market continuing to cool after the Chancellor pushed through some tax increases, particularly the increase to the national insurance contribution by employers. That's a real sticking
I believe so, Dojo.
point for the jobs market, and the hike in the
It's fucking Tuesday, ain't it?
minimum wage. So those two increases are really putting pressure on employers, according to a recent survey of recruitment firms and also employers. And the official tax data suggests that employment has fallen sharply since those changes came to effect. That was back in April. So we're seeing the job market under some stress, and perhaps this AI revolution is the latest thing to add to that.
Welcome to Next Generation.
Cool. Cool. Super cool. Super, nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. Fucking Tuesday. What up, Andy War Machine? What up, Shanna? Yeah, I feel for the younger generation. They were woefully unprepared for what's happening and given poor advice by people who thought they knew what they were talking about. Praise. Up next, giving robots the capacity to remember pain. Because that's the thing that we're doing now.
Welcome to Next Generation Robotics, robots that can feel and even remember sensations. This is part of a really important area of robotics that seeks to give robots sensation like pain and touch that can match human skin. We'll talk about it. For animals, you might be startled by, say, the sound of a vacuum cleaner when you're a baby, but you just get used to it. So how can we tell a robot that something is harmful or just normal? Well, you habituate it and use a memristor. Memristors act very much like our own neurons. They remember the charge that passes through them, and that can be reinforced. Some of the issues with that is that you have to decide on how many states you can give it, and researchers have been giving them more states, so different kinds of metals can interact with each other and remember what happened. This involves...
Yeah, I completely understand, Kadeo. Like, there's a lot of people who just learned to code, right? Just learn to code. All the good jobs are in computer. And and now
giving the robot different layers of skin that react differently to the environment. And that's not all that different to how our skin works. And it worked. When they were habituated to being, say, poked with a pen, it wouldn't react around 71% of the time. It would only fail to react to, say, an electric shock 0.02% of the time, which is very efficient. This is important because it can help a robot avoid harm, but it's also valuable in other areas. Say search and rescue. This principle could allow robots to differentiate between falling rocks versus somebody shouting for help with more efficiency and faster. Robots are pretty bad at being able to separate out the kind of sounds, but they are getting better. AI is an
like the ability to have a greater sensory capacity in a prosthetic would be a huge bonus.
option to help filter, but it still takes time to do the processing. So having something that can react on the, I'm going to say cellular level, for lack of a better term, the surface level, is really efficient. Now, teaching robots about pain is only part of the problem. We need to teach it to appropriately react to pain. This is part of a really bizarre area of science in which people are trying to get robots to experience mirror neurons. So experience the concept of pain when they see somebody in pain. And with neuromorphic computers, you can actually model pain and teach robots to avoid it. This is intended to give robots morality, should help robots get a little bit beyond the three tenets.
I have that Cosmic on my in the bin. However, I'm not sure we're gonna get to it today. We'll probably get to it tomorrow. And if we get to it tomorrow, it might be in the late show, so you were probably right to watch it.
Of robotics, so don't harm a person, follow orders unless that interferes with Law 1, and preserve the self unless that interferes with Law 1 or 2. But I think the whole point of Asimov is that it wasn't enough, so let's give robots empathy. Something that people, don't experience always. But wait, there's more. How do we give robots a sensation that they can react to at the same speed as a human? Because the processor does take time, you need to have something on the surface, and graphene has been really valuable.
Yay, graphene.
It needs to be able to create an electrical current when a stimuli hits it. With memoristors, you can remember things and remember the kind of stimuli you're seeing and become habituated to it, and that can go both ways. You can react faster to harmful stimuli once you've gotten used to it, and that is going to be on the surface level for tissue, quite literally. Graphene is highly conductive and can react to things like temperature, pH, pressure, humidity. It could actually let exosuits, like say the kinds that astronauts wear, feel the environment and just channel it back into your own skin and nervous system. Graphene is also capable of self-organization, so it doesn't have to be super hot or super cold. It can have these nice little lattice formations, and if you break it, it can just come right back into place, making it an ideal material. Don't get struck by lightning, but that is also true of just your body. It can also be flexible and elastic, meaning it's also an ideal candidate for biohybrids, wetware. That thing that I love to talk about where you grow human cells and turn human components into robots, like skin and tissues, like muscle, and the tiny human brains, which I find them fascinating, and they're probably unethical, but this is the perfect thing to interface with them. I am going to make a prediction. I think for some of the artificial neurons that we're making that could even interface with our own, why not just turn that into a robot's nervous system? Why not graft it together into what is essentially what makes up our nervous system, and then graft it into a brain? I bet you good money someone will eventually figure this out before humans wipe themselves off the planet. To be fair, I can't really lose that bet because who would know?
Back to School Week continues here on CBS.
So yeah, speaking of suffering, how AI is impacting teachers and students in the classroom.
CBS Mornings, and a tricky subject today, the rise of artificial intelligence in classrooms. Advocates say it's going to be a helpful tool for kids and for teachers alike. Others say it discourages kids from thinking on their own. Critically, that is. Nancy Chen spoke to teachers and a tech executive about what's next, including a new
Are you supposed to do this? I'm not going to work tomorrow. I have off tomorrow. Well, unless streaming counts as work. That sounds similar to how desensitization works in humans. Once we're exposed to certain stimuli long enough, we become desensitized to it, and if it's not immediately harmful, we ignore it. Yeah. Background noises can often, disappear into the background, and we don't even realize that they're happening and stuff like that. Maybe fashion has changed, but you're not supposed to wear the same color tie as your suit, I believe, unless it's black.
Partnership that could launch a fresh chapter in education.
I put 2 books in there, and it puts it into a podcast. And it's literally 13 minutes of information about the Boston Tea Party.
Jerome Ong uses AI tools every week in his 5th grade Ridgewood, New Jersey classroom.
You have to find what works for your students.
Has it changed the way you approach teaching?
Absolutely. They're reading a book and ultimately listening to it at the same time. So when I play the audio.
Have you ever heard of a party where, the main event was chucking something super valuable right into the water?
Ong says he teaches what AI is and where it falls short.
If you keep at it and say, no, you're wrong, eventually AI will say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And doing that with your class can show you that AI isn't really as smart as you think it is.
It almost sounds like you're teaching AI literacy in all of this, too.
Right.
Yeah,
Artificial
maybe you should.
intelligence is top of mind in most fields, and many educators have been teaching themselves how to use it. But this summer, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Anthropic announced a first-of-its-kind plan to train hundreds of thousands of members of the American Federation of Teachers, or AFT, the nation's second-largest teachers union.
What really drew you to this partnership?
I think if we're going to make AI work for students, for kids, we need to listen to teachers.
Microsoft President Brad Smith.
It can, I think, change the way teachers work in ways that empower teachers, gives them more information, makes it easier in terms of preparing for classes, thinking about how to put together lesson plans.
In one recent survey, teachers reported saving an average of nearly 6 hours a week with AI. But critics cite cheating concerns and Microsoft's own research, which showed a self-reported decline in critical thinking skills when AI was not used responsibly.
We have a huge opportunity to learn from the last 15 years in, say, social media. None of us appreciated what could go wrong. Let's go into an AI era with our eyes wide open.
This is a way to get profits.
We can still fix the social media thing. We can do that literally anytime we want. It's not like anything stopping us other than political will.
Former high school teacher and AFT member Lois Weiner says teachers would be better served by more support within schools than by an alliance with Silicon Valley.
There is so much drudgery in the job. But the answer to that is to improve the conditions of teachers' work.
Does this do that?
Absolutely not.
How would you respond to those who say that education should be left to the teachers and not to tech companies?
I think education must be left to teachers. Those of us in the tech sector need to provide the tools and empower the school boards and districts and teachers so they decide how to put those tools in practice.
Ong says if AI is already here,
let's try to figure this out to help our kids continue to learn and grow.
This $23 million investment will go toward virtual and in-person trainings right here in New York City. The union's president said the connection between a teacher and their kids can never be replaced by new technologies, but if we learn how to set common sense guardrails, teaching and learning can be enhanced. It is remarkable how far we've come since ChatGPT launched back in late 2022, and now you have surveys showing as many as nearly 85% of teachers are using AI in some form in their classrooms.
Wow.
I like the common sense guardrails.
Yeah, and teaching is hard, and if it can save them time, I'm all for it. I just hope the kids can, still learn to think.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
have-
Thanks, dipshit. AI Daily Brief. Will AI destroy or reinvent education?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Today on the AI Daily Brief, is AI going to destroy or, on the other hand, completely reinvent education? The AI Daily Brief is a daily podcast and video about the most important news and discussions in AI. Hello, friends. Quick announcements before we dive in. First of all, thank you to today's sponsors, KPMG, Blitzy, and Vanta. To get an ad-free version of the show, go to patreon.com/AI Daily Brief. And if you are interested in sponsoring...
He's doing ad reads now. My local radio station uses AI to respond to listener messages and gives answers or puts you through to the on-air program. Nice.
the show, shoot us a note at sponsors@aidailybrief.ai. All right, well, as we speak, millions and millions of students and millions of parents all across America are getting ready for back to school. For some of us, the late August, early September return to school, still decades after our formal education ends, feels more like New Year's than New Year's in some ways. It's a moment for reinvention and for considering the future. And as this new school year begins, the future that many parents and students are considering has to do with AI. For this long read / big think episode, we actually are going to read excerpts from a few different pieces. And afterwards, I will make an argument that core to the question of AI's impact on education is what we think the point of education actually is. But let's read some excerpts from these pieces first. The first comes from opinion columnist David Brooks. His piece is called, "Are We Really Willing to Become Dumber?" David starts by establishing his AI optimist credentials. He says, "I'm generally optimistic about all the ways AI is going to make life better. Scientific research, medical diagnoses, tutoring, and my favorite current use case, vacation planning. But it also offers," he writes, "a malevolent seduction. Excellence without effort. It gives people the illusion that they can be good at thinking without hard work. And I'm sorry, but that's not possible." David then gets into...
How do you know? How do you know? And of course, we're gonna, I would ask David Brooks to read his own words, right? Again, because this is the MIT study with a whopping 54 participants to start and 18 by the end of the study, because most of the students quit. The way that people are leaning on this study, which is sus as fuck, dude.
A study, which is actually at the core of 2 of the 3 of these essays. He points out that it's a small sample size and that it hasn't been peer-reviewed. But
end of discussion. There is no but. Small sample size, not peer-reviewed.
That there is something intuitive about it that inherently strikes us as true.
That's what the kids call vibes, bro. That's what the kids call vibes. It just feels right, man.
He writes, "A group of MIT researchers recruited 54 participants to write essays. Some of them used AI to write the essays, some wrote with the assistance of search engines, and some wrote the old-fashioned way, using their brains. The essays people used AI to write contained a lot more references to specific names, places, years, and definitions. The people who relied solely on their brains had 60% fewer references to these things. So far, so good. But the essays written with AI were more homogeneous, while those written by people relying on their brains created a wider variety of arguments and points." He then goes on to point out that people didn't have very good recall when they had written their essay with AI. He writes they hadn't really internalized their own writing and little of it had sunk in. But where it gets really interesting was EEG measurements of people's brains. Brooks writes, "The subjects who relied only on their own brains showed higher connectivity across a bunch of brain regions. Search engine users experienced less brain connectivity and AI users least of all." He then talked about another method called dynamic directed transfer function, or DDTF, that also showed the brain-only writers with the highest connectivity and the AI group with up to 55% lower connectivity. The conclusion of the researchers was that, collectively, these findings support the view that external support tools restructure not only task performance, but also the underlying cognitive architecture. Now, Brooks points out that the researchers are not trying to overstate the implications of this. Instead, it's really the obvious.
No, they absolutely are. They said as much, right? They said that it hasn't been peer reviewed and it's a small sample size, but we really wanted to get it out there because we felt that it was important. They absolutely wanted to overstate what they were doing. Shut the fuck up.
Point that gets people's attention. As Brooks puts it, thinking hard strengthens your mental capacity.
And this is not me advocating for not thinking, right? Like, I'm a huge fan of thinking me. I'm just like, this is not a study to lean on. I would even, Chef, if they were willing to give me a study that involved, I don't know, a few hundred people, a few thousand people, right? Like, get a decent sample size in order to have it be statistically significant.
Bot to think for you,
What up, T-Minus?
or even just massaging
The
what
goat?
the bot gives you is empty calories for the mind. You're robbing yourself of an education and diminishing your intellectual potential. Now, this brings us to another essay, this time from Megan O'Rourke, executive editor of the Yale Review and a professor of creative writing at Yale University. Her essay begins with an attempt. She wrote, "We need a coherent approach grounded in understanding how the technology works, where it is going, and what it will be used for. As a teacher of creative writing, I set out to understand what AI could do for students, but also what it might mean for writing itself. My conversations with AI showcased its seductive cocktail of affirmation, perceptiveness, solicitousness, and duplicity, and brought home how complicated this new era will be." And the TLDR of her experience at first was that while it didn't overly impress her when it came to writing in her field, it did surprise her in many other parts of her life. As she puts it, tasks I might otherwise have avoided or agonized over suddenly became manageable. It didn't just format documents, it asked helpful follow-up questions. ChatGPT helped me conserve energy for higher-order thinking and writing. It didn't diminish my sense of agency, it restored it.
There you go.
As a working mother of 2 young children running a magazine as well as teaching, I always feel starved for time. With ChatGPT, I felt like I had an intern with that cheerful affect of a golden retriever and the speed of the Flash. She continues to talk about how she became more and more engaged with ChatGPT, leading up to the pivot point. I felt fine accepting its help.
That's the thing, though. You don't have to tell the AI to write the essay. You can literally write the entire thing yourself and then highlight various sections and ask the model to rephrase this sentence or rephrase that last paragraph. You can use it as much or as little as you need to. Yeah. And you can actually, like, have the AI bring up a bunch of relevant information. Like if you use, one of the deep research type things, you can get more information than you could otherwise over that period of time, right? So that you can get on to making conclusions based on the available data and not spend all your time researching the data in order to make those conclusions.
Until I didn't. In many ways, she discusses the same thing that Brooks was discussing, albeit with no disrespect to Brooks, in slightly more engaging prose. She continues, "The uncanny thing about these models isn't just their speed, but the way they imitate human interiority without embodying any of its values. That may be, from the humanist perspective, the most pernicious thing about AI, the way it simulates..."
It never happens, Dojo. It never happens.
Its mastery and brings satisfaction to its users who feel, at least fleetingly, as if she did the thing the technology performed. At some point, knowing that the tool was there began to interfere with my own thinking. If I asked it to research contemporary poetry for a class, it offered to write a syllabus. If I said yes, to see what it would come up with, the result was different from what I'd do, yet its version lodged unhelpfully in my mind. What happens when technology makes the process all too available?
Sure. Other people can do that too, right? It like if you are unable to sequester a particular piece of information, like a different version of your syllabus, that's on you, dude.
She then references the same study that Brooks talked about and said, while some critics of the study have questioned whether EEG can meaningfully measure engagement, the conclusions echoed my own experience. When ChatGPT drafted or edited an email for me, I felt less connected to the outcome. Once, having asked AI to draft a complicated note based on bullet points I gave it, I sent an email that I realized retrospectively did not articulate what I myself felt. It was as if a ghost with...
Then that's on you. You read the email. If it wasn't what you were trying to say, that's on you. It's not the AI. It's not the study. It's not your disengagement. You read the email and you phoned it in rather than actually reading the email and taking ownership of the thing that you were doing.
Silky syntax had colonized my brain, controlling my fingers as they typed. For her, this is incredibly personal. She wrote, I've spent decades writing and editing. I know the feeling of reward and hard-won clarity that writing produces for me. But if you never build those muscles, will you grasp what's missing when an LLM delivers a chirpy but shallow reply? What happens to students who've never experienced the reward of pressing towards an elusive thought that yields itself in clear syntax? What we stand to lose is not just a skill but a mode of being. The pleasure of invention, the felt life of the mind at work. I'm a writer because I know of no art form or technology more capable than the book of expanding my sense of what it means to be alive. As I write this, my children are building...
I can actually feel my pineal gland fucking calcifying at this point.
Legos on the floor besides me, singing improvised parodies of the Burger King jingle. They're inventing neologisms. Gomology, my older son announces. It means thinking you can do it all by yourself. The younger one laughs. They're riffing, spiraling, contradicting each other. The living room is full of sound, the result of that strange, astonishing current of attention in which one person's thoughts lead to another, creatively multiplying. The sheer human pleasure in inventiveness is what I want my children to hold on to, and what using...
This is... I don't understand why everybody's on this tip lately, like everybody, you know, a loud portion of the internet and whatever this is, where they just abandon themselves. It's like, oh, the fucking AI. Now there's AI here. We can just, it's just going to destroy everything around us. It's threatened to erode that. Like, we can't actually do any of the things anymore. I don't know. I use the AI and now my brain, no work no more.
AI threatens to erode. Which brings us lastly to our third essay, this one from John Craycraft, a third-year student at the University of Minnesota. It's called We're Losing Our Love of Learning and AI is to Blame. He begins, when was the last time you felt genuine?
No, it's truly exhausting, right? When you are required to have like a bachelor's degree in order to get some entry-level job, right? A job that you may already actually have the capacity to do, but you need that bachelor's degree because it's required by this new employer. Like, I have a friend, right? No college degree. And he does all sorts of data stuff, right? Shit that, like, people go to the college to get a degree in. He just knows how to do it. He learned it himself. It's what he's into. He learned, he just devoured it, right? But has at times run into issues of not having a particular degree, making it more difficult to get a particular job. Now, he's all right at the moment, right? He's kind of, because of his use of AI, strangely enough. What up, Walking Stick? What up, Squirrel Nuts? Because of his use of AI and how in demand a lot of that AI stuff is right now, it's he has been able to circumvent the need for a bachelor's degree. And it's just like, what the fuck, bro? You don't have to just quit. Right? The AI slop is not going to destroy your algorithm unless you let it. Turn-by-turn GPS does a job on wayfinding. It does. Nobody knows how to use a map anymore. I don't really use AI much other than for finding manuals and maybe scouting them quick or for what I'm looking for, but I hate using it to talk for me. Fair enough. Do the thing. No. A different DDFT. Necessity is something.
Genuinely excited to deep dive into a topic just because it fascinated you. When did you last spend hours exploring an idea not because it was assigned, but because you couldn't stop thinking about it? If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. As a third-year student at the University of Minnesota, I've watched something troubling unfold in classrooms across campus. We're losing...
Oh, dear God. You're not even a professor. You're a third-year student. Why are the kids today doing the back in my day kind of fucking old man yells at cloud shit? What is happening?
Our love of learning. Artificial intelligence is accelerating this decline in ways that should alarm every student, professor, and administrator. Now, what John adds to the conversation is a view from the ground floor. As he writes, statistics only tell part of the story. What I witness in daily campus life is far more concerning than any research paper can capture. I watch classmates approach every assignment with the same question: how can I get this done fastest? They don't ask, what can I learn from this, or how does this connect to bigger ideas? The focus has shifted from understanding to completion, from curiosity to a...
It makes sense, Michael, right? Like you claim authorship. The thing that you are sending out reflects on whether or not it's the thing that you wanted to say. And if it is, then it's good. And if it isn't, then you work on it. And it's literally this simple.
Efficiency. Let me ask ChatGPT has become our default response to intellectual challenge. Most telling is the language students use.
What up, Sam? Says, back in my day, we just copied shit directly out of the encyclopedia.
I regularly hear peers say things like, why do I need to learn this when AI can do it for me? Or I don't need to understand the process if AI gets the right answer. He concludes, we need to remember why we came to college in the first place. Learning isn't about accumulating facts or completing assignments. It's about developing the capacity to think, question, and discover. It's about becoming the kind of person who can navigate complexities, solve novel problems, and contribute meaningfully to the world. And this, I believe, is what gets at the core of the issue. Is that, in fact, what education is actually about? Is that why we came to college in the first place? For John, it seems that that is absolutely the case. For Yale professor Megan as well. However, for centuries now, what we call education has actually been about two totally different things. On the one hand, learning how to think and more broadly to be in the world. And on the other, learning how to do economically productive things. The competition between these interpretations of the purpose of education is not a phenomenon that is new to AI. It is embodied in famous aphorisms and quotes.
Yeah, T-minus, I usually, keep a couple 20s on me, just in case I'm in a situation where, like there's, and there are places, like if you go, to a dispensary, right? They need cash. They can't process cards or anything like that. So, a little bit of cash, right? Just in case, right? Like that's fine. But the rarity of those situations, right? Like normally you can use a card. The actual breakdown rate of any card system is super rare, to the point where it's a memorable experience, right? Tops, which is a local supermarket, I was there, I remember one time, and because they couldn't take card because their lines were down for some fucking reason, I said okay, and I left my cart and walked the fuck out, right? Like, I don't know what you want me to do here, right? Like I came with the expectation, but that was one time in over a decade. It is not harder to budget walking stick. It just puts the onus in a different place. Because if you budget with cash, you are working a deficit off your whatever your stack is, right? But if you are working a budget off whatever you have in your account and you use a debit card, then you just have to keep better records. So it's just, where do you want the onus? There's no difference. Now, there is a psychological effect that people do tend to spend more when using a card rather than a cash, right? Like it was a whole thing back when card readers started to appear at like McDonald's and shit like that, right? They talked about how like it's like 10% more. People are willing to spend 10% more. But again, you cannot. You can be. I'm conscious of all my expenditures. So, well, I don't disagree that it can be easier because you can't spend money that you don't have. I can't argue that point. You know, you can also do the other thing. Yeah, you do, you know, there's any number of little budgeting apps and shit like that. Depends on the person for sure. Some people will definitely find it more helpful. Yes. And to each their own, right? Like, I'm not saying that, like, you know, I'm not going so far as to do rugged individualism, right? I'm just saying it can be done. Like this is one of the things that James and I kind of disagree on when it comes to the whole, like James is want to say, you can't blame, the end user for a system, right? And this is true as far as blame goes. But when you're conscious of a system, you do have the capacity to regulate your behavior within that system. You know what I mean?
Oscar Wilde's education is an admirable thing, but it is well to remember from time to time that nothing that is worth knowing can be taught. Or the even more precise and more famous quote from Mark Twain, don't let schooling interfere with your education. Part of the student debt crisis right now can be attributed to the uncomfortable mashing together of these two interpretations of the purpose of education. The classic liberal arts
sticking to the budget is always the most difficult part, yes.
Idea. It's not about what you...
But, like, I'm a huge one for, like, I'll cruise down the meat aisle and, I'll look for stuff that's been marked down, right? Marked down for quick sale and save 40 to 60%. And then I'll throw that in the freezer, right? Like as soon as I get home. There are definitely ways to stretch dollars if you work at it. It'd be nice if we didn't have to, right? Like I'm all aboard with that kind of shit. Yeah, and that's the thing, Samson. I'm not saying that you can address a systemic issue through individual application. What I'm saying is that speaking to Samson's and speaking to T-Minus and speaking to Walking Stick and speaking to Pharaoh, right? Y'all should be cognizant of the systems that exist around us. And because you are aware of those systems, you can then move accordingly. You know what I mean? You can behave in a way to, you know, maximize your benefit.
Learn, it's about learning how to think. And yet, when learning how to think comes with debt that is totally not commensurate with the economic...
What's really funny, Walking Stick, is we have an unofficial like shoppers union going on at my local supermarket. They'll put something out and the price will be too damn high. And we all just don't buy it. Like, it will, the stuff sits there, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden the shit goes on sale. It's weird. It's a weird collective behavior that I've noticed. Nobody asks, nobody talks, nobody discusses any of the things. I mean, there's that, Samson. I cannot advocate for that. I am not allowed to.
Economic opportunity that comes out of that learning how to think, the system is in a fundamental way broken. This is why there have been so many experiments over the last couple decades around new types of vocational and practical education.
Oh no, using self-checkout is fine. Using self-checkout is ethical. Using self-checkout is totally cool. And how much you pay at the self-checkout, well,
coding boot camps, while looking a little insane now in the context of AI, were such an explosive force because they offered an alternative approach to learning how to do this incredibly economically productive thing that didn't require you to
But again, I'm not allowed to advocate for that type of behavior.
go $80,000 to $200,000 into debt to get the skill.
I've never seen anything.
The tension that's inherent in all of these.
I wear glasses, right? Like, I take my glasses off, I can't see shit. So I've never seen anything, Pharaoh.
These pieces, and especially John's, is that as much as he doesn't want to admit it, as much as he thinks that his interpretation of what the purpose of education is for, his peers who are asking the question, why do I need to learn this when AI can do it for me, have a legitimate claim to that being a reasonable question in the context of the education that they're seeking. If they are there to learn how to do economically productive things, it is hard to argue that there's anything more valuable than learning how to use these new AI tools. And yet, I feel like an LLM that's trying to nicely divide the difference between two opinions rather than just pick one side. But as you might have already guessed or suspected the entire time, I don't actually think that either of these interpretations is wrong. I think learning how to think, and more broadly how to be in the world, as a core emphasis of education is incredibly important.
And this is the argument that I advocate for, and I think it always comes back to. Teaching people how to think, right? The ability to think critically, think creatively, media literacy, healthy skepticism, and love of learning is more important than any individual subject. And it's all wrapped in this current bundle of being economically viable, right? People will educate themselves on things that are not economically viable and suffer for it. You know, you end up with a degree in something that you're passionate about and that you love, you just can't make any money at. So, excuse me if I'm willing to shortcut the system just to get the fucking bachelor's degree that I need in order to achieve whatever it is that you want at this point in time. Because it's not relevant. I have the skills. I know how to do the thing. You want the degree. Let me just go get you the degree real quick.
I am of the school that thinks that learning how to write is not just a means to an end of communicating ideas, but is in large part about how to construct thoughts and arguments in one's own head. The purpose of a 5-paragraph essay that has a thesis and supporting statements isn't to parrot a convention for winning arguments. It's because that sort of structured thought helps us process the incredible array of stimuli all around us.
And again, I would take it all the way back to, what was it, Plato or Socrates? Socrates, who said, that writing shit down was a bad idea because people are going to not be able to use their brains anymore. You can make that argument. I actually think it has a certain amount of legs when it comes to that kind of thing. no one is advocating for not writing things down anymore. Because there's very huge cultural reasons to continue to write stuff down.
My favorite writing of all time, of any genre, is David Foster Wallace's Kenyon commencement speech from 2005, which has become popularly known as This Is Water. In it, he writes, "Let's talk about the single most pervasive cliche in the commencement speech genre, which is that a liberal arts education is not so much about filling you up with knowledge as it is about teaching you how to think. If you're like me as a student, you never liked hearing this, and you tend to feel a bit insulted by the claim that you needed anybody to teach you how to think, since the fact that you even got admitted to a college this good seems like proof that you already know how to think." He continues, though, "I'm going to posit to you, the liberal arts cliche turns out not to be insulting at all, because the really significant education and thinking that we're supposed to get in a place like this isn't really about the capacity to think, but rather about the choice to what to think about. 20 years after my own graduation, I've come gradually..."
Hold up. If your total freedom of choice regarding what to think about seems too obvious to waste time discussing, I'd ask you to think about fish in water and to bracket for just a few minutes your skepticism about the value of the totally obvious. Is this what you're talking about, Dojo? You feel that it's overplayed? Our brains are not video recorders, so we only concentrate on interesting, difficult, or strange things. We are not equipped to remember things that are simple or common. We gloss over them. Right. And then there's also the difficulty with having an associative memory database and trying to learn stuff that's not associated with anything else you know.
About the choice to what to think about. 20 years after my own graduation, I've come gradually to understand that the liberal arts cliche about teaching you how to think is actually shorthand for a much deeper, more serious idea. Learning how to think really means learning how to exercise some control over how and what you think. It means being conscious and aware enough to choose what you pay attention to and to choose how you construct meaning from experience. Man, I buy it. I buy it entirely. And that's why I think these studies about what AI and writing and learning does to our brain are significant. But I do not believe that they lead to the simplistic conclusion, old way good, AI bad. Because for as much as education is, yes, about teaching us how to think, or to use the DFW construct, how to exert control over what we think about and to construct meaning from experience, it is absolutely, undeniably also about learning how to do economically productive things. And right now, we are failing students on both fronts. And blaming AI for the failure of one half of it,
kleptomaniac, that's a valid statement, right? I think a lot of it has to do with what is your goal? Is your goal to actually learn about the thing, or is your goal, like, got into a conversation with Redolent Thought a while back, and we were talking about speeding, one of the favorite subjects of this chat. And I am adamant that you should drive the speed limit, right? Like, whatever the speed limit is, and we're not going to do it again. So save your little typing fucking fingers, Samsons and Michael and anybody the fuck else. I know all your arguments. We're not doing it again. We only have like an hour and a half left. So we're going to go back to the content in a second. The point is that I went and I had Gemini do a deep research to validate my point, that the speed limit is the correct thing to do. And I have all the data to back me up. Did I read any of that? I barely skimmed over the essay that it wrote, because I did not actually care about the results. I don't personally give a shit if Redolent wants to drive over the speed limit. I don't give a shit if fucking Samson's wants to drive over the speed limit, individually speaking. Broadly speaking, I think it's, it tends to be good. ultimately, I'm gonna drive the speed limit, and I don't give a fuck. You can fucking pass me. So in that case, I did not seek that knowledge, so I don't really retain any of it. But there's been other stuff that I have been looking at in order to learn about something, and that's the stuff that I dig into. Gorlnut said something important, I think, here. I think the important lesson in driving is that it's a game or a sport and everyone else is your opponent. Disagree. If they get where they are going, that's a point against you. It's not enough to survive and be on time. You need to defeat other drivers. There's a perception that people feel that way. I will give you that. They are your mortal enemy. The sun shines brightest in the blood on the road, as they say in the Bible. A good driver makes others afraid to visit the roads, for it's their kingdom. The more danger, the less traffic. That is a hell of a fucking argument. And at the very least, I can hear it in their voice. Oh, fantastic.
And choosing not to use AI for the other half of it is going to do nothing but dig us deeper into that hole. I, of course, do not have the answers, but I have thought a lot about this. And it seems to me that the obvious answer set is going to start with some version of rejecting the idea that education is only about one or the other of these things. It's going to be about designing for both of these types.
I agree, Samsons. And that's a poor way to do stuff. And I own that, right? You already had a conclusion. You were seeking out validation for that conclusion. I agree. And I avoid doing that whenever possible. When I find myself doing it, my inner executive goes out of its way to say, hey, fucknuts, you're doing the thing. Because that's the thing that I harp on other people for doing as well, right? Like, there's a whole fucking political gamut of people who fucking just seek validation for their dumb fuck bullshit. So that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid doing. In theory, I want to drive over the speed limit, but my wheelchair only goes 6.5 miles per hour max. Sad day for me, I guess. You just got to find one of them 5 mile an hour places, and then you can.
Types of outcomes that we want, and understanding what parts of the educational experience
fucking Dojo and their hatred of statistics.
The one versus for the other. When it comes to learning how to think, how to construct meaning from experience, I think that folks whose instincts that AI could be a major detriment might be right. But that does not mean that we shouldn't be using AI to help people learn how to do economically productive things. In fact, it's the opposite. We should be empowering people to explore endless journeys of how to use AI to do interesting things, to create more, to build more, to start businesses, to produce code, to speak in languages that they didn't know were possible before, literally and metaphorically. One of my greatest sources of optimism in all of this is that AI's impact is so dramatic and profound and frankly unarguable that it is going to force us to have a conversation and to change education in ways that we really should have been doing decades ago.
True.
It would be a mistake to view the problems of education and the mismatch between the education that we give and the world that people are graduating into as somehow a byproduct of the post-November 2022 ChatGPT era. The student loan crisis didn't start when ChatGPT started. We've been stuck in old modes of education for far, far too long. And there is something about the utter dismantling of them that AI implicates that feels positive, but only because we will have no choice but to rebuild and reconstitute what education means from the ground up. There are promising signs that even those can.
I didn't, Cadillo. I fall into a category is if I hear about a thing and I'm already going to watch the thing, I have no desire. I have actually an anti-desire to see any kind of trailer or anything else. I want none of it because I want to go into the experience like as fucking open as possible. Like trying to avoid any kind of spoiler or even trailer or whatever for Alien Earth. Alien Earth is fucking fantastic if you like Alien. That shit, holy cats, dude. It's so good. And the episodes are an hour long. It's amazing.
Concerned are starting to grok that this is the right way to think, the productive way to think. The essay from the Yale professor has, for example,
I'm not sure, Cadillo. I actually couldn't figure out when the thing dropped, and I didn't want to Google it. I just every so often look to see if the new episode. So it drops on, what day is today? Tuesday. New episodes drop on Tuesday. Yeah, episode 2 is great. Like if you enjoyed episode 1, episode 2 just takes off. What up, Pineapple Spoons? We sexing up AI in here again? Always. We're just biding our time until the sex robots come and take over. No spoilers. None. Zero. If you heard about a thing and you've already watched a thing, then you want to go into it fresh. Yeah, like that's where I just like I haven't seen barely anything related to the Superman movie because I'm going to see the Superman movie, right? Like I don't need any teaser. I don't need to be more interested. I don't need advertisement. I'm going to see it. I'm just going to see it in my own time.
Example, this section, the conscientious path forward is to create educational structures that minimize the temptation to outsource thinking. Perhaps we should consider getting rid of letter grades in writing classes, which could be pass-fail. The age of the take-home essay as a tool for assessing mastery and comprehension is over. Seminars might now include more in-class close reading or weekly in-person writing labs, during which...
Ben, let me tell you that I saw the trailer for Terminator 2. And when I actually went to watch the movie Terminator 2, and I realized, spoilers, by the way, for a fucking 80-year-old movie at this point. When I realized that if you actually watched Terminator 2, you did not know that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the good guy until, what up, Fancy Pudding? Until the hallway scene in the mall. Right? Prior to that, what's his name? Jason Patrick, the cop. You haven't seen the second movie? Well, I spoil it for you. Sorry. It just looks like he is a fucking Michael Biehn type character, right? Like he came back from the future, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is obviously a Terminator. Robert Patrick. You know, so it's like you think maybe he's the good guy, right? Like, and then you realize in the thing. Oh my God! Again, I'm going to spoil another movie, but I assume most people don't care about the prequels. But I didn't know that fucking what's his name stabbed Han Solo. And it got spoiled on fucking Facebook by a fucking meme. It's fucking irritating. What up, Andy?
Students can write without access to AI. I don't know if any of those solutions are right, but I'm quite sure it's the right idea to start asking and thinking about those types of solutions. The inescapable reality right now.
Yeah, but we didn't do that shit back then, Squirrel Nuts. We, like, that's some Marvel shit, right? Marvel had to be the ones to break that new ground where they would just we're filming all sorts of shit so you have no idea what's going to happen.
Is that whether you think the goal of education is learning how to think and be in the world, or whether you believe the goal of education should be learning how to do economically productive things, we are failing on both fronts. AI is so clearly an accelerant in all ways, good and bad, but it is not the core problem. And it does offer really interesting paths forward. I'm excited that this is the conversation we're having now, although candidly, I'm very glad my kids are 4 and 6, so we have a little bit of time to figure it out before they get to college age. But ultimately, I'm optimistic. I can't help but be. Appreciate you listening or watching as always, And until next time, peace.
All right, next up. Alderaan was an op. Here's why AI isn't taking your job yet. Jesus Christ, that was loud. This better not be just a podcast, or I feel like it's just a podcast. What up, Ribbons?
Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
I'm Stephen Carroll, and this is Here's Why, where we take one news story and...
Yeah, no, Farrah, I would not. I just would not have, right? They filmed a portion of one of the, I think it was the second of the more recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies here in Buffalo. Because there's a section, it's Route 33, right? And Route 33 is one of them horrid, racist engineering projects. And basically what it does is it connects downtown Buffalo with the airport. And it's basically a giant trench. And it was dug between, like, right through the middle of historically black neighborhood, right? And there's actually people, they were talking about trying to cover it over, right? Turn it into a tunnel. And there were people from the neighborhood fighting against it. And I'm just like, you know what? This has shit all to do with me. I'm just going to hang back and see what happens. So far, nothing has. But the point being is that when you have this trench that's road and with these high walls, it makes a really interesting place to film a chase scene between Mutant Ninja Turtles and ninjas. It was cool.
Explain it in just a few minutes with our experts here at Bloomberg.
Every one of our jobs, at every stage of our careers, at every company, in every country is going to get affected by how this technology is going to change work. And so we all need to lean into it.
No technology in the history of technologies has ever reduced jobs en net. But it does change who is working and who's not, and what skills are.
Since you asked. That was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. You want a spoiler? This is it. This is the 33. This is perfect.
This is a live picture tonight. This is the set, so to speak, of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. This stretch of the Kensington Expressway here in Buffalo from the 198 split to downtown is closed tonight. It will remain closed until 6 tomorrow morning.
A high-action packed scene is expected to be shot right here in the Queen City with lots of explosions and sounds that will showcase the city in a whole new light. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Ed Dranch live on the set tonight. Ed?
And Joanna, we're standing right over the 33. We just saw a couple dozen nice.
And this is what's great. There's these overpasses because alongside this highway are like more residentially type roads. And every time they cross over, they have to have these bridges with chain link fence on them. It's super awesome. We love that.
Car speeding toward us on the 33 eastbound. All as night one continues here with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action sequence here on the 33. Big picture, the stage is set for big things in Buffalo.
Bright lights of the silver screen are beaming on Buffalo.
You know, this is something big for Buffalo.
Toshiko Exum is camped out, bundled up with binoculars close by, waiting and watching for something thrilling. It's night one of filming for the sequel to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
What do you think you're going to see tonight?
I don't know, maybe a car smash up or flip over or, you know, some sparks or something. Anything.
The movie itself is actually being filmed in New York City, but crews needed Buffalo's Kensington Expressway to shoot tonight's stunt scene. And it's a good thing they needed Buffalo because the economic impact is pegged at upwards of $7 million.
It's huge. It's really, really big.
Western New York Film Commissioner Tim Clark says there are more than 3,000 room nights.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the 33. That's the Ninja Turtles. That was the whole thing. I don't want to watch a podcast. I want to watch some entertainment. Yeah, no, you're right, Cosmic. I do think that watching things being filmed can help people appreciate the amount of work that goes into some scenes. True. Yeah. Some internet archaeology. This is from 17 years ago. Clippy attacks.
Huh?
That was YouTube from 17 years ago. Up next, ChatGPT evolution. This is a visualization of the evolution of ChatGPT. That's what I'm getting, Ben.
We are not a traditional cafe. We're completely unconventional. And
Sorry, I accidentally clicked something. I'm just saying, take some time, put in the effort. ChatGPT agent, July 2025, learns to use a compter. Cool. I think I want to say, Dojo, like, I'm don't want to in any way, shape, or form validate any of the arguments that AI is being shoved down our throats. To me, it's just a new feature being added, and often it actually can be avoided. But that being said, I can also understand the way they don't know how to roll out AI to people. And by that I mean all of them, everybody. They just do a really ham-handed, poor way of teaching, or not even teaching, but like, so I understand why people feel like it's being shoved down their throats, because it's not like being taught to you in like a friendly way. It's not something that like is enticing you to want to use it. It's not even, here's AI, have fun. It's, hey, we got a new AI feature. Would you like to use the AI feature? We really would like you to use the AI feature. Could you use the AI feature? Well, how do I use the AI feature? Well, if you just... The Adobe one takes the whole screen. No, and see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You do a bar, right? Just like this, right? Look at my... What up, Stellar Wingman? I saw you came in. AI needs better marketing. True. Can't you just take it situation by situation? It sits at the top of Google search, slop at the top. Yeah, but then you just scroll down. Right? Like this. Right? Here it is. Oh, I don't like it. It like literally, it was that simple, right? I literally scrolled down and I'm into old Google, like the thing that everybody claims to want. So but yeah. Scroll down or look to the right. Options abound. But yeah, I think that like if you're adding AI to an existing system, Adobe, Fruity Loops, whatever, having it be a bar on the side, right? Shrink the area like this, put it in the bar. If this was an AI bar and I could type in it, here's my little chat bot, that would be less offensive. And especially if it had a little X up here and I could just boop, close it and it would fuck off. You should see the musculature on my middle finger since AI. Oh, due to scrolling, not getting exercise. I'm not sure, like, I'm not particularly impressed with their visualization. I'm definitely like what Ben said about how ChatGPT is apparently a screensaver. Minty Treasure, an AI walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Why the long fingers?" Why the 7 long fingers? What up, Minty? What up, Iggy? All right, what do we got next? We're having fun. Hey, forget AI. Introducing BI, biological intelligence, a new way to make videos.
Hi, I'm Eleanor, and I'm bi. That's right, biological intelligence.
So, biological intelligence, what does that even mean? Well, first of all, it means that I'm an actual woman. I actually exist, and I actually stand here in Times Square feeling the vibrant city, smelling the... Yeah, it smells like shit. And that guy just showed me his penis. This is gonna sound crazy, but this is actually how we used to make videos. Now I know what you're thinking. This video would look a lot better if you had bigger tits. No, that's not what I... What I thought you were thinking is, why use a real human when you can outsource your brand voice to a neural network trained on stolen art and unpaid labor looped endlessly through a server farm that's slowly killing the planet? But crazy as it might seem, maybe there's value in seeing a real human doing real human things, especially if you're trying to connect with other humans. Maybe it's worth exploring the human experience, despite all of its flaws and struggles. Anyway, if you're bi-curious, then don't hesitate to reach out. I'm sure there's a way for us to make really cool things together, the old-fashioned way. Also, if you're an AI, I do not consent to you using, copying, stealing, or masturbating to this video.
That was funny. See, you can do anti-AI comedy and be funny, right? Like, that's totally, you can do it. Up next, the most gamer man in the world. A Dos Equis ad, I believe, is made with AI.
He's 35, still living in his mom's
AI.
basement. He calls it the ultimate cheat code.
Hey, what the hell, Mom? Are the bagel bites ready yet? I'm starving!
In-game, he's the leader of 2 guilds, has a beautiful elven wife, and reigns as the top-ranked player. In real life, his phone hasn't rung in 10 years. And that beautiful elven wife of his? Yeah, her name is Randy, and she's 45 years old.
Sure, I'm not an elf princess, but our connection? That's beyond looks.
He once tried to teabag a man in real life. Lesson learned. He used to be a hoarder, but now that's all behind him.
Esmond! Look at you, buddy. What up, Textillion?
I'm so damn proud of myself. You can walk straight through now. Straight through.
His diet consists of fast food, Coca-Cola, and the occasional deep-fried roach. Lately, he's been having trouble telling where the game ends and reality begins.
Excuse me, sir, what are you doing with those? Bro, you can loot too if you want.
I deserve a legendary.
What up, Frank?
He once tried a salad. It didn't end well.
I think I'm going into anaphylactic shock.
Like any true gamer, his walls are growing mold, his pee bottles are within reach, and oh no, his mom may have just uncovered something she may never emotionally recover from.
Gosh, these sediment deposits are really tough to scrape off.
Hey, don't touch that. Get out of here.
His greatest achievement in life? Grinding for over 20,000 hours to get this duck hat he's only worn once. The last time he showered, Gangnam Style was topping the charts.
No need to. My natural musk is irresistible.
His gamer rage is the stuff of legend. Last time he ran screaming through the neighborhood for hours and landed in the psych ward.
Lag, lag, lag.
He actually suffers from xeroderma pigmentosum, a rare condition where even a few minutes of sunlight can cause severe burns, skin damage, and in rare cases, death. It's the reason he's avoided the outside world and lived his whole life in darkness. At least, that's what he tells people. The truth is, this lifestyle is a choice.
I'm getting on right now. You already in?
He is the most gamer man in the world.
I don't always drink, but when I do, I'm always in game. Stay gaming, my friends.
Excellent. I love that. Up next, we have a new Kingmaker. Forgive the haters. Found footage from the present.
spent her 20s sleeping on set floors, carried heavy cameras through 1,000 doors.
What up, Reed?
Missed her daughter's birthdays for the perfect shot. Now a kid with Mid-Journey does what took all she's got. She posts angry comments at 3 a.m. Cause she can't sleep wondering how to pay rent again. Good old Marcus mortgaged everything for film school debt. 7 years of ramen, ain't paid it off yet. His professors promised if he learned the rules, master composition, lighten all the tools, he'd a value no computer could replace. Now he watches prompts put wonder on her face. Forgive the haters, they're not what they seem. They're watching the death of their American dream. Forgive the haters, see them true. In another timeline, they could be you. Chen's a VFX artist, 60-hour weeks. Destroyed his marriage for those visual peaks. Carpal tunnel back pain, eyes that always burn. 20 years of expertise with no return. Sees kids on TikTok making movie magic free. Wonders what the hell his suffering was supposed to be. And David teaches cinematography at the local college. Built his whole identity on specialized knowledge. Students ask him, why learn this anymore? He doesn't have an answer like he did before.
Hello,
Goes home to his wife, pretends he's not afraid that everything he knows might be a dying trait. It's not just fear of being replaced, it's grief for all the pain that feels erased. If suffering wasn't necessary then, what was the point of all that way back when? Tom comments hatred on every AI post, but secretly at night he experiments the most. Downloads every model, tries every new app. Hates himself for loving it, caught in his own trap. Too proud to admit he's learning something new. Too scared to be a beginner at 52. Forgive the haters, they're complex and real, with wounds too deep for time to heal. And to the haters, I beg you to know, you've got talent and experience that still matters now. Storytelling and taste, a tutorial can teach. And if you're ever ready, these tools are in reach. And to the creators using these tools, please have compassion for those learning new rules. 'Cause in this wild transition that we're all moving through, today's harsh critic might be tomorrow's me and you.
I agree. I agree with the commentary in the chat. I thought the song was quite good. I liked the lyrics. the video had points. Fair, Cadillo. There were points where like the emphasis was there on the character's face. I thought that was really well done. The other parts where like it just wasn't there wasn't enough enthusiasm in the character to really drive the point home. Yeah, no, it definitely some what's his name? Crocker, right? Cocker, not Cracker, Cocker. Joe Cocker.
What do I do when my love is away? Does it worry you to be alone? No, no.
Right? Like, that was the vibe that I got. 1970s, that kind of thing. What no Sturgill Simpson? I can't argue. The intent of the same was asked, but the actual wordplay and word choice were very strong. Yeah, I feel that. 1970s Springsteen, sure. Let's see. No. So Michael, he recently, I'm assuming it's a he, recently did a poll about making videos on what their process is. So, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we've watched other Kingmaker videos before. I think that this is probably my favorite.
Did it, man. Crazy bastards actually did it. Goddamn.
So what you voting?
Artificial general intelligence. Ha ha ha. We voting yes tomorrow.
Just in time for last call. Oh, they built a machine smarter than us all. Vote yes or no tonight. Turn it on or keep it off. Could cure what's killing mama. Could kill us, y'all. So we sitting here trying to decide our fate. Like our vote ever mattered. Last call before AGI. So tonight we getting high. Yo, let me hit that. Last call before AGI. Last call before they decide.
Yeah, this is AI.
Cause you know this shit happening no matter what. Technocrats want permission. Now that's a funny lie. If they so damn smart, why they asking you and I? Oh, I think I know why. They drowned my daddy in their debt, killed my sisters with their pills. Now they're asking, ooh, pretty please. Can I helpful, harmless, robot, pay your bills? Last call before AGI. Will it know I'll let grandma die alone? Will it judge me worse than that COVID-29 nurse who held the phone? Last call before AGI. Will it know I stole from mama while she slept? Will it tell her I'm the reason she got nothing left? Oh, shit! Last call before AGI. Last call. Oh, they say it'll fix humanity, make our world clean. But Lord knows I've been dirty since I was 13. So when it heals a species, tell me please, will it decide I'm the virus or just a disease? Last call before AGI. Last call. They say it'll fix what's broken in us all, but what if broken's all I've ever been? If I go to church right now and confess about my crimes and my lies, will the machine process my forgiveness? Doubt it. Last call, last call, last call. Before AGI.
We built a machine smarter than us all. Did people vote yes tonight to turn it on? Could save so many souls, could show us the way, or could kill us, they say. So the seating her, awaiting our fate like our destiny vast, never a return.
You know, my kid asked me yesterday, Daddy, what's it mean to matter? I said, baby, broken things like me are about to find out.
Last dance before AGI. Will it know my sacrifices? Will he judge me was dandy regulators and Luddites who protested our sign?
As you can see behind me, fear is driving people to extremes. Many shoppers tell us they're worried about supply chain disruptions if AGI goes online.
Last dance before AGI. Last dance before AGI.
I like that one a lot. I think, again, it's got a lot of emotional impact. I think it's really well done. The lip syncing is fantastic. So yeah. Kelly Bosch.
It runs through the rivers, it hides in the sand. A fire in the earth, a spark in the hand. It's not in the crowns or the stories we're told. It lives in the warmth when your heartbeat turns bold. Not in the treasure, not in the stone. Gold is the light when you're not alone. It's you're golden, golden, burning in my chest. It's pure golden, golden, brighter than the rest. It's not the metal, it's not what's sold. It's love that's the purest gold. It hums in the silence between every word. A secret so soft.
Behold the duality of man. From one, why are these vocals so dramatically better than the last two songs? From the other, for the first time, the video is kind of interesting, with the song is super bland. And scene, right? Like, and this is the thing. We've talked about this many times, right? You like it, you don't like it. It's just not for you. You know, it's that kind of thing. We live, art is subjective. We live in this, right? All of this outside, your favorite streamer is currently involved with covering, etc. And just find joy wherever you can. Enjoy whatever you like. Don't listen to people who don't like it. It doesn't fucking matter. We are too diverse for an LLM to encompass us.
It's barely heard. It shines in the cracks where the daylight falls. A lantern for the soul, untamed, uncontrolled. Not in the kingdom, not bought or sold. Gold is.
As you say, Dojo, AI can do Escher art so easily in motion. Yeah, no, it is like one of the things that I enjoy about what some people would look to as the failures of AI's composition is how easily it does impossible things. Exactly, Frank. Do we contradict ourselves? Very well, that we contradict ourselves. We contain multitude. Yeah, I love the surreal. It's one of the reasons I like Kelly Bosch, and one of the reasons, like, her surreal stuff is my favorite stuff. I love the impossible, right? I love seeing the impossible. I think it's great. The video aesthetic is lovely, but the physics in many scenes are garbage, impossible, and don't make sense. As a dancer who knows aerial is, it bugs me. I understand that as well. But have you looked at the fabric? Doesn't the fabric look better, Textillion?
The fire that keeps us whole. Golden, burning in my chest.
And again, all this technology came about in 2.5, 3 years. Where we're going to be in another 2.5 years, I'm actually like, there's a part of me that wonders if we're going to lose the things that I love as we get closer to accuracy. Right? Are we still going to be able to get the impossible from the AI models once they have worked so hard to get it good enough to make like feature films out of, right?
It's love that's the purest gold.
Another new Kelly Bosch. That's what I'm hoping, Chef. I'm hoping that you'll have like a bunch of people doing like homebrew stuff that maintain the aesthetic of 2025 AI video. You know what I mean? I like.
So this
hold on,
is AI.
Hold on, Wes. Hold on, Wes. I like the aesthetic, because none of them were like threatening. You know what I mean? They were just there, right? Like they weren't offensive. It felt like what was it? That Electric movie, Brain, done. What was the fucking movie? Do. Oop. Netflix, Electric State. Right? Because Electric State had that same kind of big robot-ness. Didn't have to come so hard.
15
of phrasing.
grand.
Is it loaded?
Yes, sir.
Well, then I'll pay the tip. What's wrong with you?
Took your freaking time, didn't you?
Cool your jets.
Hey, you. Hands up. Turn around. That a Cosmo bot?
Are you telling me that my breakthrough broke out?
This bot knows where to find my brother. I want him back.
Find him!
We have a chance to tear their whole sick system down. Humans and bots fighting against the real enemy.
Oh, I like the way she thinks.
Yeah.
Incoming!
I am not dying to Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch!
I actually like this song. Stuck on this!
Inappropriate.
Really?
Get ready.
I am going to save my brother.
Robots helping humans?
I know, it's nuts. No offense.
Get it all the time.
Wasn't a particularly good movie. I didn't hate watching it. I enjoyed my time. I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again. I thought some of the visuals were absolutely amazing, right? But I just didn't like care. You know what I mean? I'm gonna save this stuff for tomorrow. I'm actually gonna wrap here. I have to go pick up the wife from work, and I didn't even take a shower. Yeah, they should have made us care about the lost brother. I just didn't care. Like I wanted to care. I tried to care. I tried so hard, friend. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We're going to do some morning stuff, and then I'll be back at 6 p.m. to do some evening stuff. Sir Didymus Engiwuk Fezzik. Yes, you need to emotionally connect with your audience to the storyline, to the people, to something in it that they care about what's going on. Generally speaking, it's a good idea. Right? Generally speaking, you want people to give a shit. Oh, no, yeah, I'm taking, I have off from work tomorrow, so I'm going to do more streaming. Just taking a look here. Please stick around for the raid. You know how all this works. Just seeing who we might like to raid. Do. Everybody's playing video games. Why is everybody playing video? I don't want to be productive. I've been productive. I need to relax my legs. That's the thing. Again, I put 20,000, an average of 20,000 steps on these legs over the past 3 days, right? 20,000 a day, and that's a lot. Yeah, no, I have shoes. I have to wear the non-slip shoes. We're gonna rate a member of the community. Peevil, from the James Gang streams, and they're relatively like just getting started, and we're just gonna drop in and raid in, say hi. I can't wear steel toes. They gotta be I mean, I suppose I could find steel toes. I'm working in a kitchen. I'm doing food service at a hospital. No, Michael. Thank you, though. So yeah. The most important thing is non-slip. Anyways, enough about me. I'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, and we'll do that. And then I'll be back again at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we'll do some more of that. We got a bunch of content left to get to. If I didn't have something to do, I would just keep streaming. But there will be more me tomorrow, and hopefully more you, because I appreciate you all. And in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Shuggy loves you. And so do I. Be great. Show some love.